Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the 20-year bond auction. We're going to get started in 1 minute. Okay, so the 20-year bond auction. Let's look at the daily report. First off, my name is Lee Goldstein. I'm the trading director for 10-minute trades. Remember that all trades we take are for educational purposes. It is possible to lose money trading futures, so trade carefully. And let's take a look. Let me put up the daily report for the bond auction. So it's been trading pretty well. In March, it had a stop, and it was partly because it was a weird news release in March also. And 818 is showing a cancel. It's weird, but my memory, I don't remember what happened last month. So there's so many reports that we trade. So let's take a look at last month. Give me 1 second. So the 20-year last month was the 18th. The month before was July 21st. And I just want to see if I have June. I have the video. I vaguely remember there was a problem with the June video. I have a replay from June. I don't remember why we missed June on the 20-year, but this was the replay of June. So our brackets are going to show up in a second. Whoop. Was June a very good move? Looks like it. So June had a large burst. Which sometimes happens on these reports. June 13 tick, large spike in 23 seconds. It was a little bit, it wasn't delayed. That's normal. This report does not usually fill immediately. It usually fills pretty slowly. We give it 60 seconds before we would cancel. We take a full minute before we'd cancel. And it's the kind of report I don't like to cancel unless I know that the news has not been released, has been released. In other words, we can hear on Financial Juice, which is a Squawk Box and a news service that we subscribe to, they usually report if the news, if the auction results have been released. So one of the questions we always struggle with, do you base your cancellation rules on when the news is released, or do you base your cancellation rule on the time in theory that we're going to put our orders on the chart? It's a good question, isn't it? It's definitely a good question. What's today? Today is Tuesday. Today is Tuesday. All right. So let's see what the report looked like on 8/18. I do not remember that report being canceled, but we trade so many reports. I don't remember every single one. I remember most of them though. So our orders go on the chart at 13:01:30. And my memory does not recall a canceled trade. So you got 15 seconds, no response. "30 seconds, no response." Now we're trading ZB. Looking at ZB on the left, ZN on the right. And I canceled it. I did cancel it. It's coming back to me now. I canceled a little bit early because I thought it was pretty strange. There was no result. The news was out. I totally remember now what happened. The news came out and there was no move at all. And I definitely canceled 15 seconds early, but it still went the whole 60 seconds without a fill for us. We would not have been filled. So it was a canceled trade last month. The month before, in July, had a nice spike. So people ask, so why do you put your orders on the chart 13:01:30? So the reason is because after studying these reports for all these years, we noticed that there's a reaction pretty soon after 13:01:30. That's why we chose 13:01:30. It's not like we just picked it out of the air. It was a time that the bond reports reacted to. Within our old cancellation rules used to be 40 seconds. We made them a little bit longer because since this crisis in the world began, results of reports has changed somewhat. They've been slower reactions. Markets changed quite dramatically a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. I don't have to tell people that. So you could see there was a nice move in July. Actually, in July, it looked like a better ZB move than ZN. Albert, I would say that they're both. This is not considered a high-risk trade. Any trade cannot work. But I have never traded ZN or ZF on the 20-year note, 20-year bond. I've never traded it. I've only traded ZB. Chantal, have you ever traded ZN or ZF on the 20? I know you've traded it on the others. Now, who is Chantal? Chantal works for us. She's one of our testers, trade testers. Have you traded ZN, Chantal, or just ZF? I'm guessing ZF. I'm thinking you never did it. I'm thinking you never did it on the 20. So I'm right. Yeah, I don't recall you ever doing it. I would, if I was going to trade a ZN setup, I would do it with caution because it's never been tested on this report. So, Albert, to answer your question, it's not officially an accepted index at this moment, okay? I'm not saying don't stay away from it. I'm saying let's test it today. I think the approach is to test it today. So if I was going to trade ZN on this report, I'll show you what I would do. And I was thinking of myself about trading both. And then I realized that this 20-year report is much newer than the other reports that we trade, the 7 and the 10 and the 30. And we've looked at ZF and ZN on the other reports for much longer. And we know that you get a nice reaction on both ZN and ZF on the other reports. But the 20-year, while we do watch it, it seems to be a little bit more muted. And I'm just going anecdotally, not from any serious testing yet, okay? So there's all this, one of the big worries in the market is this Chinese real estate company, I guess. It's creating a lot of market uneasiness. And, you know, you cannot deny the world news is troublesome. There's not a lot of good news in the world right now. It doesn't seem. A lot of economies are struggling. There's a lot of difficult issues. All countries are being forced to face. These are not the easiest times to be alive, to be, you know, trying to make a living and taking care of your family and doing all the things that you have to do. So on ZN, if I were going to set up a test trade on ZN, see, I'm willing to trade ZB today on this report because I've always traded ZB on this report. And this report is one of the better behaving bond reports, if not the best. But the markets, I'm telling you, the markets have been tricky. The markets have been, definitely for 2 weeks, the markets have had a different tone. They've been whippier. The reactions have been difficult. It's been harder. I mean, you can't deny it. My clock is not in sync today. It's one of those days. So I'm going to have to, I still have to reinstall. I just got back about 10 minutes ago. I had to go and run an important errand. No, Mark, I haven't, because I don't think you can. I don't think the market sentiment is going to have any meaning to a jobs report or to a CPI report. There might be, Mark, to answer your question, there might be some reports you could find that might be more responsive to market sentiment. Last week was a very painful, last week was difficult, Jody. I agree. I mean, Jody, are you saying in general you had a difficult week? Or just with us? So I'm using dimension 4 to get my computer synced. And there's nothing wrong if you have a bad week to pull back and be extra cautious and go into sim and take a week off and let the markets normalize. Sometimes the markets are difficult to trade. So I'm using a 3-tick bracket on this report. And I'm using a target of 2 and a target of 6. And I'm going to risk 3 contracts. Last week, there was no fill. That actually ups our opportunity for a more probable outcome because it's very rare to have a canceled report. More often than not, you get a good report. However, there is one little fly in the ointment today, and that's the FOMC report tomorrow, the statement. Oh, wait, Mark, I want to answer that. I'll answer that. I might just trade 2 today because of the FOMC statement tomorrow. I've seen more muted moves the day before the FOMC. So, you could do what you like. Mr. Speranza, I forgot your first name. There is a micro, but they're a little bit too new. They just came out. Give us a little bit of time and we'll start looking at them shortly. Okay? They literally just came out about 2-3 weeks ago. They're not ready for trading yet. But I would assume that they're going to be because the micros are popular. I'd love to see a real proper micro gold. MGC is not micro gold the way that MES or MNQ is micro MES or MNQ, okay? And the reason I say that is because micro gold, it's an older instrument and it's just not one of the newer micros. I would like to see MGC disappear and we get a new real micro gold that we could trade. Mark, to answer your question, in markets like these, or to make a comment, backtesting markets that are crazy and volatile and virus-based, you can't, I don't think you can backtest most reports intelligently for more than four months. Once you go back further than 4 months, the markets are too different. They've changed too much. And while the backtesting has value, certainly long-term backtesting has value no matter what. But for near-term market behavior, sometimes you want to backtest just as long as the market's been behaving the way it's been behaving. You follow me? Yeah. And that's what you were saying. That is what you were saying. And I'm just agreeing with you. I'm totally agreeing with you. So I didn't explain what I'm doing. It's because, time is going really fast today. So this is the 20-year. And the way that I'm setting my trade up, I'm doing a 3-tick bracket. I'm just looking for 2 ticks and 6 ticks on my profit targets. I've got the 3 stop. And my entry time is 13:01:30, and it's a breakout trade. And that's my trade. And I'm really trading it. And we put our time in sync. We can do it again and see if it worked. Test, the bracket is 2 or 3. The DMM says 2. It's 2 or 3. I'm going to check my sync one more time. And I'm in sync. And now if I want to test the ZN on this report, see, I don't think the ZN, it did not look like it was moving quite as well as it did on some of the other bond reports. And this is a newer report. Let's just look at one more random 20-year bond report. I probably have the ZN on the chart, I bet. And I do. This is May. I want to compare the moves. So May, 1301.30. Because normally when I trade ZN versus ZB, I might add a tick to the bracket. I'll make the stop a little bigger, but I'll keep the targets the same. So May was a slow response. You can see nothing happened. 40 seconds. And then there's a move. And ZN looks decent. Looks decent. You know, it was not a phenomenal move that day. All right. So based on, I'm going to test the ZN with a similar size bracket, 3. So my ZB is live. My ZN is a test. But you can make the ZN stop a little bit bigger. Targets of 2 and 6, but I'm going to make the stop a 5 instead of a 3 because you're half the risk. $15 and change instead of 31 and a quarter per tick. Entry time would be the same. Entry time is 1301.30, and it's a test. So I'm leaving it in sim, and I label all my trades. Purposely, so I can differentiate between them up on the top. So there's a bit of volatility on ZB before the report. Which sometimes leads to more of a reaction. And we do consider this a family money trade. This has been one of the good bond reports. I'm listening. So in the background, what we do, we use investing.com on the lower right here. And they sometimes show when the news comes out. They don't get it all the time. And then in the background also, we have a website called Financial Juice Pro. We subscribe to them, and there is a cost. They have a free version, financialjuice.com, and then the pro version has a squawk box, and their news feed is not delayed. The free version has a slight delay. Now, when you're trading news for money, you don't want to be delayed, okay? William, the trade is when the bond makes a move, we put our orders on the chart 13:01:30 and we give it a minute. We'll wait up to a minute for there to be a response. So that's the trade is right, 13:01:30. And it's not really when the trade is, it's when our orders go on the chart. There's no guarantee there will be a trade. All right. So we're waiting. All we do, and we spend a lot of time waiting, talking, watching the market, looking at previous videos, making sure we're in sync, bunch of rules that we try to follow. And I want to thank everybody for coming and remind everybody that we are going to have a webinar all about the way we trade the family money trades on Thursday at 4:30. Okay? And I'm going to put the webinar info in the chat. And of course, everyone's invited. There's the link. So come and join us Thursday at 4:30 for a Family Money Trades webinar. And next week is one of our favorite family money trades. I bet nobody knows which one it is. It's a quarterly one. That's the hint. It's a quarterly trade. Nope. Fred, you're close though. It's the WASD's big brother, the quarterly grain report. That's next week. That was the best. Am I going to record it? Absolutely. Jody, I'm not sure it's Thursday. Jody, I'm not sure it's Thursday. I did not mean to say Thursday if I did. I did not mean Thursday. I don't know the date yet, I'll tell you. You know what, Jody? I think it is Thursday. I'm looking at the date. I'm pretty sure it's Thursday. And we will record it. Absolutely. Sid, it's an 11:30 trade room for a noon report. And it will definitely be recorded. In fact, we're trying to post a lot more trades for folks to look at. All right, so it's going to be 1 o'clock soon. A lot of people think that this report is at 1 o'clock, but it isn't. Now, if normally I try not to cancel the bond reports because sometimes they just move slow. After the news comes out, sometimes it'll sit and sometimes it'll burst. "30 seconds later, not always right away." So another minute to go. Now on the right, I'm testing ZN. So I'm much more concerned with what takes place on the left. And then we'll be back today at 4 p.m. Eastern Time for one more family money trade. You can see ZN has got a little bit of movement before the trade or before the news. But it's not unusual. It's bond news, right? So you'd expect there to be some movement on bonds. So now we'll give it 60 seconds. And I'm listening very carefully to see if I hear if there's an announcement that the bond auction has taken place. Sometimes we'll know because we'll get filled immediately. Sometimes we won't know. So our rule is we're supposed to, it's out, 1.79. And again, not much of a reaction. Not much of a reaction. In 30 seconds at 1303, I would cancel. There's no reaction. So why am I canceling? I'm leaving the test on. I'm just following our rules. That's our rule. I know that the auction took place. I also know that tomorrow is the FOMC. So it's 20 seconds late and there's no move, okay? The news is out. I know the news is out. I hear it. It's a minute and a half late. We would not be waiting for the trade. Those are our rules. We use this rule as a way of protecting ourselves. Normally, you don't get this slow of a reaction, okay? You might get a 10-second delay past our cancel. That might happen, but not a whole minute. It's I've never seen it. I've never seen it. AM, all I did was increase the bracket to 4, and I would do the same thing for ZF. AM, same thing for ZF. So there's just no move. Very possibly, now that's 2 in a row, right? I don't believe that we have a report that is just falling asleep on us. This is ZF. I think it's a fluke. I do think it's a fluke, okay? I think that there will always be reports that don't move. We see it all the time. I've said this morning that these are the strangest markets. The markets are weird. And there is no trade. It's 3 minutes. There really is no trade here, okay? So there's nothing happening. You wouldn't have made any money. You wouldn't have lost any money. You wouldn't have got filled. You should not have gotten filled. That's also why I use a 3-tick bracket. I don't want to have an accidental fill in a slow response like this. This report, I found this report testing with a 3-tick bracket. That's my setup on this report. Okay? That's my setup. Okay, David, I'll read it. I'll read it. I've been out most of the morning, so I'm a little behind today. Okay? I'm a little behind. Tomorrow, no. Hey, Sanji, I heard no taper. I heard not tomorrow, not until October, is what I've been hearing. Sanji. Sanji, I had a question for you, and now I don't remember what it was. I'll think about it, and I'll send you an email if I forgot, because I forgot what it was. It was a trading question. I just can't remember now. Okay, folks. So look, sometimes there's a lot of excitement and nothing happens, right? We see it all the time. You don't want to be filled when there's no movement. Even on ZN, look, you would have gotten filled 2 or 3 ticks short, right? But we used 4 ticks to be a little bit safer. I don't want to get filled if it moves 3 ticks and that's the end of it, right? It doesn't do us any good. We want to get filled when we have the opportunity to make money. And if we don't get a move, we don't care. It's not the end of the world. We just move on to the next trade. Yeah, and I'd rather not lose and move on to the next trade. There will be plenty of trades that move really well. It's the nature of the beast. It's how this works, okay? So I'll see everybody at 4 o'clock. Thanks on YouTube for watching. If a few more people would give us a like on YouTube, we'd really appreciate it. Hit the notification bell and sign up for the channel. We'd love that, okay? And you'll know the next time we're streaming, which is sometime tomorrow. Okay, see everybody at 4. See everybody later. Sometimes there's no excitement other than waiting for a trade. See you all later.